So I'm just going to do a big view of two things here, is the weekly gold chart on the left and the weekly SP 500 on the right. And this is a $10 gold grid, and this is 10 or same pips here. It's kind of funny they're not called pips here, but these translate pretty good as far as if you're going to write a script and run it on these two instruments. You can use the same script for the SP 500 as the gold thing. At least you can pretty much say that, you know, ATR wise. Now if I go to the monthly, maybe not so much. We're pretty crazy up here. Now, see, the monthly view is so different than what people are thinking on the other view. Here, wow, this really looks like a trap for the bears, like they're gonna, that's topping out, but and this thing just will not give up. And some of the when the world, this is the sell-offs that people are calling for the big crashes, these big wicks down here. If you had your buy limit starting at that low there, you're doing pretty good. Here the you know, the gold market is sideways. This guy's broken out, so this is making new highs. This has been trapped for 3 years here. I'm just living on the weekly though. The monthly, you can obviously see the sellers would come in here. If you ever made it back to here, people would be getting out like you can't believe at 1500, 1550. If we ever came down here, people would be buying like you can't believe. But right now, you'd say that your only order here is to buy on the last. So you have a pending buy limit here, maybe for a scalp if you're lucky. If this doesn't hold on here, if this low on the monthly, which is this double doji going back to here, becomes this top on the monthly pullback. If we don't hold that in gold, see you, bye. We'll start to break this trend line. I'm just worried about what's going on right now. This thing, same story here, but we've already broke out, pullback. If this is a breakout, pullback, and launch, there's only going to go higher on this. Especially if they're going to print more money and all that. Whatever people are complaining about because they missed out on the fucking trade. This is the... and the same thing here. This could be going up with it. So if this is the breakout, pullback to here, we're off to the races. Breakout, pullback here. Yeah, it only makes sense. These markets sync up and move together sometimes. And it's just... this will be going into uncharted water here. So you can expect maybe parabolicness like you saw in the other instruments. This was the classic kind of a sloppy top bottom. But here's a perfect top bottom on the monthly. Wow. Another not so perfect here. But see, you'd be filled on the wick. And here the top bottom's perfect. But what do you do about that wick? Oof. That is brutality, but that wick is like a gold mine. And that's why people are drawing trend lines on that stuff. But that's not a trend. Trend line. See, this is the trend line. And there's the break roll over there. These wicks are just nothing but complete house cleaning of anybody that had a stop here. So if you had a stop here, they won't get my stop. I put my stop down here. And you might have even bought here. Nope, not getting out. We're in an uptrend. Bam, they stop you out, then they go up without you. Happens a million times. So that's the monthly, and here you could say the S&P is doomed because, well, they break that trend line, and so you go to the weekly and take a look at that trend line. So here you got a trend line to break, a nice one. This trend line's got to hold. This weekly pullback here, if this is a breakout, it looks like, well, we really got to get the party started here. breakout, pullback. Everybody got in at this. Anybody that's anybody, right? So if this is the top that becomes a bottom, we just nailed that top, bottom, and all the buy limits that you had down on these that never got filled. So maybe we're going to keep going up. So you double click that, hold down the control key. Well, this is speculation. They're going to go up this channel. But then there's the channel envelope, which is just, if you hang it off this bottom, we could get trapped in here. So you could definitely go, you could come back and clean out all these people, and maybe your buy limit needs to be here. That's a classic entry. Stumbles down, washes everybody out, gets in here, and this is really the big launching pad. But you can't, you're going to trade down into that, hopefully on sells. You'd sell here. In fact, if you're going to sell, where are you going to sell? Sell limits go on the last known bottom right here, right now. That's it. Now, that would also be a fake breakout on the weekly where they trap these weekly breakout traders because they're like, yeah, it's going to the moon, and they're going to print more money. But what if they don't? But that wouldn't really matter fundamentally. What really matters is that the market comes back up to this, and it's just structurally speaking, and sell limits all the way up. Another sell limit's going to be here and all the way up and beyond into no man's land, which we don't even know what's going to happen when we get up in there. Here was your launching pad in the momentum breakout. This trend line breaks, comes back, finds support. So you can see this rate of pullback. If you're going to speculate off this, that we're going to come back into this. And buy limits are still sitting. I imagine if you put a buy limit on every one of these turnarounds. So for the moment, they broke that puppy out. You go to the zoom in on this, you're coming in on this trend line. It's a problem. We could fall down. We could start caving in on gold. So the weekly view is definitely. If this thing, wow. So this trend line's got a hold on gold here. And you know where it's going. I don't have to tell you. If that's it, and if they've trapped the bulls on this peak, right up in here, you could seriously break this trend line and tumble all the way down. So another thing with the closing price is that trend line just has a perfect translation to the weekly. They sync together. For a lot of people, they're already short because it broke this weekly trend line. The first place you can draw a trend line is here on this pullback. So they're like, okay, well this is what they're looking at. This trend line broke, found resistance. They're selling there. And the scalpers sold off of this unsustainable romp. I mean, this is a steep climax move here. If you look back to the last level where you'd figure there'd be a problem, just right here in this trap zone here, where they right up. As soon as they went above this wick, this is a $20 trap on gold. Look at this pullback. Then they trap the bear stops get triggered. But see, that was your entry. So all charts are the same in terms of where do you want your buy limit here? You want your buy limit here because you want to get in here. Even though there's about $50 a smash, if your stop's down here, or you're just buying every $10 all the way down, you swing trade in, you cash out partially here, and the rest goes beyond your expectations. Or you're waiting for this double bottom is the pivot for this launching pad in gold. But same story over and over again. This is where the sellers are going to come in. Here's the trap. Sellers here, double bottom becomes a top. Here's the trap for this move. And now, so what is the... They're taking this gold down. It's got to hold this. It already broke the trend line. We've got to hold that. But there's going to be a battle. There's definitely going to be a battle. And so this is the weekly chart. So the daily traders are going to trade all this stuff. But, you know, in the long run, if you don't hold this and you start to clean house on this, man, you know it's going. It's going down. And it would go, for the bearish view, in the long run, you know, it's coming back to this for the bounce. But there's plenty of money to be made. This is the floor. This is the triple. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double bottom, breakout, fallback, stumble. Everybody sells here on the floor. But we've gone through the floor, come back to it. We could come back to the floor again one more time. I'd say the obvious entry is going to be, if you're bullish, you're just buying every pullback. That's all people do. The people are actually going to buy real gold. But I don't know, gold, you know, you watch these bull pony guy or whatever. These people got trend lines like this. If you go way out into, well, for my kid, I want to have it in my hands. I want to have all that money right in my cold bare hands. I can't delete all objects there. Right? Oops. Okay, apparently I'm deleting every object down there. So, yeah, if you go back here on gold, what are you kidding me? It was still in an uptrend. You know, so you copy this over. Here's your... so this is conservative climb. So you have a top bottom here off of that. So yeah, you ricochet off that. Here's your big support. You could range trade this for the next 20 years. In fact, it could go back to this nonsense. Imagine the market goes back to this range back here, and it just lives in this boring range down here. I don't know. There's resistance here. Right, if you think that that's a downtrend, if you think you're in a downtrend, then you could just build off of that. This is what your expected, you know, rate of collapse there. So that's the rollover key. Tops become bottoms at that angle. On this closing fractal, you can't do this off the wicks because, you see, if you did it off the wicks, we don't know when those wicks happened. It's crooked. It's wrong. It's just wrong. But yeah, it's definitely people are gonna buy at that last known bottom on the monthly. Be interesting to see what happens, but it's caught. You know, it's always trapped in this range stuff. S&P is the big story because it's going for uncharted water, I guess. I think this is all the data on here. I think that's it, right? Looks like a bull trap, though. Could be it. Trapped him up here. But unfortunately, if you're a bear, it's still going up.